Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be looking over the several builds that you can do for your Eula. Now this is a complete build guide, so I will be covering weapons to use, artifact sets to use with each of these builds, and also generally which one I think is the best. But if you guys are new here, remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It really helps me out. Also, leave a comment if you guys would like. I respond to pretty much all of them. Okay, so as you guys probably already know, Eula is going to be coming out in update 1.5. We are probably going to get some more information on that in the 1.5 live stream, which will be probably in a few days. This character is physical damage focused. They have a 5-hit combo with some split hits. The only other 5-hit Claymore character in the game is Beidou, but Beidou only has 5 hits. This character technically has 7 instances of damage with that, so that is something to keep in mind when we actually choose what weapon and kind of build to go for with what we're going for. Also, the E cooldown is pretty short, so it does have a pretty decent multiplier here when you get its levels, and this also gives you a physical and cryo resistance decrease, so you really can go 2 different builds with Eula. And her ult right here, basically you stack up damage. It does a big physical damage strike, but it also, when you cast it, it does have a cryo damage attack that it does as well. So really this also can be pretty beneficial as well for the cryo build. And also when you go down constellations, these constellations are more physical damage focused. So going for these constellations isn't necessarily as good for the cryo build. However, Constellation 2, basically giving you a shorter cooldown on your hold cooldown, down to the 4 seconds that your press is, that actually is a very good constellation right here for the cryo DPS route. First build that we're going to be talking about is the normal physical build for Eula. Now this one is probably going to be the best just because of you being able to do just massive amounts of physical damage with this character. For artifact sets, you want to go with Bloodstained Chivalry set if you are pre-farming. However, there is another set that is coming out soon that I will touch up on in a second. Now this one's going to give you physical damage plus 25, and it's also, if you decide to go with a 4-piece, you're going to get like more charge attack damage, which could be interesting if you are using that to build up your ultimate stacks, if that actually triggers that with your charge attacks. So this might be a pretty decent DPS route. The Gladiator's Finale set is also another pretty good option. It gives you attack percent, which is going to be good because Eula has a high base attack. And also, if the wielder is using a sword, claymore, or polearm, it increases the normal attack damage by 35%. So if you are going for just auto attack DPS, this is definitely going to be an interesting set to check out. However, keep in mind that you're not getting any physical damage bonus from this, and that could be a factor in like your overall damage. Because if you had 25%, that's already like, this only give you like 10% more damage with the 4-piece. So there is a better option than this. The best set is going to be this new set that is going to be coming out in 1.5. And so this is the Pale Flame set. And so it's going to give you 25% physical damage also for the 2-piece. But the 4-piece, and when you use your elemental skills, you're going to get like an extra stack of attack. They actually increase this to 9% attack. And you only have to hit 2 of your abilities basically in order to get the stacks. So once you do that, you get like another 25% physical damage. So you're going to be totaling out at 50. Now, in my opinion, I think the best option for overall just damage is going to be the 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry and 2-piece Pale Flame set. So you can have 100% uptime on that 50% extra physical damage bonus, which is going to be very good. Weapons that are good on this build, I would say Blackcliff Slasher is good. It gives you a lot of crit damage, and you're also getting attack percent when you defeat enemies, which an on-field DPS like Eula can definitely benefit from that. Serpent Spine is a very good option. You're going to be getting extra crit rate and also damage stacking, so you don't have to worry about crit rate as much if you go with this weapon, and you can focus more into crit damage. And you're also getting extra bonus damage. Snow Team Star Silver is also another perfectly fine option. It has a high base attack, gives you physical damage percentage, which is very good with Eula. But the passive also is going to be fine because you're going to be getting the extra proc of damage on enemies affected by cryo, and since Eula's on the field all the time, pretty much going to be getting cryo 200% attack damage right here from that. Skyward Pride is going to be a very good option if you want to go for a more burst focused build or like shorter DPS phase. Wolf's Gravestone probably might end up being better for overall damage. You're going to be getting just better attack. Also, the new weapon that for Eula is going to come out is probably going to be relatively comparable to a Wolf's Gravestone in terms of actual damage output. So I wouldn't rush too far into this, but if you don't have a 5-star Claymore, this one will be pretty good also. It gives you physical damage percent. I think it only goes to 20%, but this does have an even higher base attack than any other weapon in the game, so that would be pretty interesting to see. This also increases your attack by 16%, and then when you hit enemies with normal and charge attacks, you're going to be adding stacks. That's going to give you more attack speed by 12% and also attack, and that can be triggered basically every 20 seconds. In terms of supports that work really well with the normal physical damage build, since Eula is a cryo, you're going to be wanting to get superconductor reactions, so I would recommend running characters like Fischl in order to get constant superconductor reactions along with off-field DPS. You can also run a character like Beto in order to give yourself extra lightning damage or like swapping capabilities between your two claymores, keeping that physical damage up. Supports aren't really going to be the best for the physical team. They're going to be better for the cryo actual team. So you're going to want to be going with basically Electra supports for this build. You also can go like pyro supports like Bennett in order to do burst reactions and just get some extra damage and also healing off of this. That'd be very good. And also keep in mind that Ganyu's second passive actually gives you 20% more cryo damage in the AoE, so this is a pretty good support for Eula anyway. You also can pretty much trigger like tons of superconductor reactions with this. Next we're going to be talking about the Cryo Build for Eula. Now this one basically focuses on this build basically focuses on the E for doing damage and also the ult slightly for doing damage, because you are using this to get your sword right here. And basically what this turns out to be is like either a hybrid build or just straight cryo build. Now the main thing that makes this actually possible is because of the E, it doesn't just decrease physical resistance, it also decreases cryo resistance, which is going to be pretty good. That's going to last for 7 seconds, but I think you can double this with 2 stacks. So basically that gives you like a lot more cryo resistance decrease, up to 25% at level 10, which is a significant amount. If you are going for constellations, C2 is probably the best for the cryo build. It basically makes your hold cooldown down to 4 seconds, so you just get a lot more damage and DPS with the cryo build with this. So in terms of multipliers at level 8, which is somewhat of a baseline, the press damage is going to be 234%. Now that is pretty low, however the cooldown on this is like 4 seconds for the press cooldown. So basically if you are going for normal DPS, I would just keep doing the presses. If you don't have Constellation 2, I would just go for the press damage right here, because overall you're going to be getting more damage. This will total out to be a little bit more than the hold damage, and if it factors in with your auto attacks, this is going to feel a lot better to use that. And now each one of these Iceworld brand stacks will create like a little sword thing that will do like an extra proc of damage. So whenever you are using the hold cooldown, I think you do get this extra bit of damage right here, which makes it better than the press cooldown if you have 2 stacks of this. And that does cryo damage, so this actually makes the cryo build actually pretty practical. Now artifacts for this one, I would definitely recommend running a Blizzard Stray. You're going to be getting more cryo damage with this. And also if you do go this, with the 4-piece, whenever you're attacking enemies affected by cryo, you're going to be getting 20% more crit rate. If they are frozen, each one of your hits is going to be getting another 20%, so that would be another 40% crit rate against frozen enemies. However, since Eula is a claymore, they will shatter out of that, which does give you an additional proc of damage. So overall that works out pretty fine. And then pretty much you're going to run either that, 2-piece Blizzard, or 2-piece Blizzard and 2-piece Gladiator's Finale just for extra attack percentage. Now I will briefly mention this right here, but in order for the hybrid build to work, you would basically need 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry, or 2-piece Pale Flame set and 2-piece Glad set. and TP's Blizzard Strayer, just to have like good hybrid damage between your two damage focusing areas. And you are going to want to run cryo damage on your cup just for that extra cryo damage, so that'll boost out your damage quite a bit. Now, weapons for the cryo build, Black Slasher is still really good. Since this is more of a main DPS kind of focused route, you're not really going to be able to do any burst damage really. So Favoni's Greatsword isn't that good. All these other ones are pretty good. Serpent Spine, yes, that's good. That's good. Snow Team Star Silver won't be as good because you're not going for a physical damage build, and we'll cover this right in a second, how to get the most out of the cryo damage build. But Skyward Pride is going to be a good option also for that, because you're casting your burst just to give yourself some extra damage basically. Wolf's Gravestone is probably going to be the best for this, just because Song of Broken Pines, it gives you fizz damage %, and you're not going to benefit as much from that with the cryo build. Now for supports, you're definitely going to want to run Chongyun, and the reason behind this is because you're going to get his E, that is going to give you some cryo infusion, so all of your auto attacks are going to be doing cryo damage. So since you're going cryo build, you're going to be getting extra cryo damage with that. You can also run Animo supports actually, so you can get your enemy's decreased cryo resistance by. Lecture supports are less viable in this just because you're not going for physical damage, so Superconduct doesn't do as much for you. What you can also do is you can run a Geo character with the 4-piece of the Geo set. What this does is if you make a cryo shield, for example, you'd be getting 35% more cryo damage as long as you're affected by that shield. So that's really good. Also, the best support for the cryo build is going to be Ganyu, just because of the Constellation 2 right here. Just because of this, it's just going to be 20% more cryo damage inside of the AoE. Also, another very, very good support for this cryo build is going to be Tartaglia. Because of his passive right here, it gives you an extra normal attack level. So instead of being at 10 as your cap, you can go up to level 11. You're just going to get a little bit more auto attack damage, and that's what you're kind of searching for. Also, his Riptide effects, what you can do is you can use his bow stance in order to mark enemies with Riptide, and then when you defeat them, they're going to give additional procs of damage that are going to spread Hydro, so enemies stay frozen for a longer time. And so overall, burst support is going to be very good with Eula. But anyway, that's it for the overall build guide for Eula. There's only really 2 builds to go with this character, unless you go with the hybrid build, which basically just makes it to where you're doing like kind of a mix of damage. It's either one. Like, I would recommend physical damage just because that's the main focus of this character. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I'll see you guys next time. Farewell.